My name is Ramirez. If this is your first time watching this series is going to go over a fasting routine that I will do for 2 months. Um, Either I release this episodically or later make it as a documentary, but that's up in the air. I don't really know. Where this should start off with is I'm not a stranger to fasting. I've done it once before. If you're watching it on this channel, you can actually see a progression of me and kind of see that I had various progressions to this journey that I started back in 2019, which is now 6 years ago, 7, either way. I do this because I feel a lot of shame. I feel embarrassed. I feel, you could say I can feel obviously alone, but I've always been alone. I guess I'm just tired of running. Tired of running from my problems. Tired of tired of my old self is the best way I could put this. And it's been a long journey for me to get to this point in time because I've had a lot of time to kind of think things over. You could say I've wasted a lot of time, but there's a research project that I'm working on, and that's the only thing I've really absorbed myself in, to ignore my problems, ignore my failures, yeah. Just generally ignoring my failures and not addressing how I feel about them. Now, most of that is my fault. I can understand that. It's just a lack of actualization on my part. But where a lot of the deer in the headlights syndrome that I have, where it's like, I just don't do anything, comes from, I could say trauma. I just developed a very unhealthy relationship with certain things. I'm tired of just not being or striving to be the best version of myself, is the best way I could say this. Um, so I'm starting this fasting journey and I'm going to document it, hold myself accountable to some degree, and just general awareness for you, the public, because I'm about to do something not many very people kind of want to do. And what the journey will entail would be me fasting or finding a routine between fasting of 24 hours, 36, and 48 hours. There will be probably a few times that I attempt a 72-hour fasting period. Those would probably be dry fasting. And there's a methodology to this madness because it's not just, jumping into fasting. There's a requirement beyond just not eating, and that is making sure you're meeting your supplements, because by the time you do get to eat, the portions will be very small, not because they should be small, like they should be under 1,500 calories. Like you want to work at a deficit of under 2,000, and it largely depends on your height, your weight, and etc., etc. But that's kind of the general rule. Other things that you need are salts, electrolytes, baking soda from Red Mill. I'm not going to recommend any other baking soda. Yes, they have branding and awareness of, we don't use aluminum products. It's like, no, you're a byproduct of an aluminum product. But that's beyond the point. Where materials and where things get sourced from is very important when you're looking at this sort of thing, because you will find vitamins and supplements that you'll think you can use, and then you'll have like an adverse effect during your fast. A lot of the times where that comes from is the fact that, where is your supplement sourced from? As in, is it manufactured or is it sourced naturally? And you will find discrepancies between companies, manufacturers, etc., etc. So this isn't going to be easy, and it's easy for me because I'm a very picky eater. That comes from a trauma. This is going to be a reoccurring theme, that there's a lot of trauma that I incurred when I was a child that kind of led me to be this very particular way. Um, do I hate it? Do I resent anybody? No. I've come to learn that, yeah, things weren't completely optimal, but it inevitably ended up working out in a very weird way. We'll get to that later too. But because I'm a particular eater, eating just chicken, rice, and very basic foods is easy for me because I've never eaten pizza in my whole life, right? I'm 33 and I've never had a slice of pizza. I've never eaten a burger. I've never even had condiments. I don't know what mustard tastes like. I don't know what ketchup tastes like. There are salsas that I don't even know what they taste like. There are a bunch of Mexican dishes that I've never even tried. There's we'll get to that part later down the line, but yeah, I'm a very weird dude. So besides dieting, where much of where we want to focus in is walking. It's very simple. Either walking or just walking up and down stairs. It's like super easy. It's not going to be really exercise. The most default thing you can do, like the most basic thing that you can do while fasting, is walking. Most people like to think that lifting weights is the most optimal way of losing weight or burning calories, and that's kind of false. Because if you look at the ratio that the human body kind of tends to burn calories, it burns calories more doing cardio activity than lifting weights or anything that requires muscle movements or compound movements or whatever type of workout style that you're going for. What works best is walking. Walking and stairs. It's that easy. There is one thing that you can add to this routine, which is standing. Like literally, if you're at your job or if you're anywhere else, just stand. If you're going to do an activity, figure out a way to do it standing for some length of period of time. Those three things are going to burn calories far more efficiently, and it's going to be far easier on you when you're doing this whole fasting routine. Yes, you can mix in workout routines, but not in the frequency that you think you can. And even if you do, you will have to eat a bit more than 1,500 calories. And even that's going to be difficult. I mean, you'll get to a point in this fasting journey. I've done it once before in 2019. You can look in the channel and you can look at my TikTok, but you will eventually find yourself deep in this routine where eating becomes difficult. Finishing your normal meal is going to feel like a chore. It's going to feel like you're climbing a mountain. So you will have to find ways. If you want to work out, you will have to find ways to add not just extra food, but extra supplements. Because most of the time you're not going to be eating. So you're not going to meet a lot of your requirements in order to build muscle. You could get lean, you can build some muscle, but not at a decent rate and not at a decent frequency. Sure, we can get into like growth hormone and like these particular subsets of systems that occur in your biology when you're fasting, like, raising your testosterone, raising your growth hormone, and kind of detoxing your body. What this mainly should focus on is the detoxing phase. I could show you towards later at the end of the series what you would want to do if you're working out and trying to fast, but you're mainly sticking to 24 hours. Like, you still keep the same eating habits and you still do the supplements, but you cut it down to 24 hours, right? Where you work out one day, you have to eat really good, and then the next day you don't eat. But you can't go to the gym every day. And because my goal is to lose 100 pounds each month. Yeah, I heard you said that. I said that right. Each month. I haven't really weighed myself. I'll probably put up a picture, but I'm probably close to 300 pounds. So my goal by the end of 2 months is to lose 100 pounds. That's the bare minimum. Somewhere where I want to be is like 140 in 2 months. Is it possible? Yes. Is it incredibly difficult? And you will probably find yourselves in moments of crisis where you think you need to go to the hospital? Yes. That actually happened to me the first time I did this fasting routine. And that's why snake juice is very important. The electrolyte drink is called snake juice. There's a thing called the snake diet. You can look into it. But I don't know. I haven't really watched Cole's videos because it just feels depressing. It feels depressing that I just relapsed super hard. All over just mental trauma, we can call it. But in reality, I just got depressed. It's as simple as that. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just general things you want to say, leave them in the comments section. I'll try my best to get to them and answer them in terms of priority the best I can. Can't promise anything because, again, I am like the number one procrastinator. I avoid everything, like absolutely everything. I am not very good with confronting things, like anything. It's terrible. This is why I'm making this stupid video. I'm not happy. I'm not happy that I have to expose myself in such a very deep and intimate way and kind of admit to, traditional society would call me a failure. And it wouldn't just call me a failure, it would call me a deadbeat, to be honest with you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I have to some degree, kind of accept that because I allowed myself to get this down bad. But beyond that, you can call me a NEET, right? NEET. Not educated, employed, or trained. I think it's what it stands for. And trust me when I say this, I didn't want to be a NEET. Like, I had a life. I was going to college. I was trying to pick myself up. I had a job. I had a girlfriend. But, some things got the better of me. Call it a vice. Call it the original sins. Call it whatever you want. But I had a lot of problems. And I never wanted to address them. Yeah, by the time I was 27, I had just completely given up on everything. Like, I was dating a really wonderful girl, and I cheated on her. And the person I cheated on her with, I fell in love with her. Turned out that she was a 304. And that kind of dealing with that person and dealing with that personality is what led me to understanding the Red Pill movement. Now, some people will have their opinions about the movement, but at the end of the day, a shitty person's a shitty person. There's nothing you can do to defend shitty behavior. Don't get me wrong. I was, I can admit I was pretty fucking shitty and I was pretty fucking toxic because I cheated on my girlfriend with this other chick. And then I fell in love with this other chick only to turn out that, like, it didn't really work out. She was a total skank and she had, like, and what's funny about that whole situation is I wasn't the only one that fell in love. She also fell in love with me. So when all hell broke loose, literally all hell broke loose, she told all my friends, told all of our mutuals, and just completely tarnished the person that I was. How much of that was real me and how much of that was manufactured me for the purposes of living in LA? I don't even know if I could say that I fully recovered from that. I can say my reputation didn't. I could tell you that those friends still never speak to me, refuse to even look me in the face, and if they see me in public, yeah, it was a hard lesson. And don't get me wrong, like, I want to feel a type of way about it, but I know I can. Because I was playing the same stupid, shitty game. So, to some degree, you could say I got what I deserved. And I'll be upfront with it and kind of accept that L. But yeah. I could say it wasn't easy. Whatever. It is what it is. Charge it to the game. So by that time, I had become a full hikikomori, or a NEET. Not educated, not employed, not trained. I dropped out of college. I literally became a social recluse. And I found some solace. I did find some communities online with Discord, YouTube lives, and I guess that's where you could say I started like a professional internet internet viewer type of situation where so I could say that around 2017, 2018, I injured myself badly, like badly, to the point that I couldn't get up off the bed. And during that time, I really had nothing to do. One of the things that I did was watch the Justice Kavanaugh hearing. And it resonated with me, not because of the allegations or the situation or the circumstances, but why? Like, what was the purpose of all this? There are traps, ideological traps. There are frameworks, mental frameworks that once you adopt them, you cannot escape from them. You are completely trapped within this paradigm. You can't view the world any other way. You're set in your ways. And that's by design. So, what this series will try to explore is kind of me talking about my experiences and what led me to being a fucking roach. Like, dead ass from like Metamorphosis, some Frank Kafka shit. You know, it's kind of funny when you think about Asmongold and how he call his communities kind of roached out. It's weird because when you look at it from beyond just the perspective of industrialization and like that story was about how men are unappreciated and how if you aren't the like a man who handles his family's affairs or kind of dons this role of being useful, you are a roach. You are nothing in life. And, you know, you eventually become this monster that even the last person in your family will view you as a monster, right? That whole scene where she recoils. And, you know, once you lose that last bastion or the last person that sees you as a human, that's where I think a lot of men find themselves with wanting to take their lives. And it's because they don't have anybody in their life that views them as human. Yeah, it sounds terrible, I know. And again, much of it, in my opinion, is by design. Much of it is to the utility of the era. It is detrimental to the establishment to allow these adversarial states within people to make sure that they don't move, to make sure that they don't see a bigger picture, to make sure that they stay within certain frames, they stay stuck to their day-to-day life and not see a bigger picture. But we'll get to that later. I'll probably make that a dedicated portion of the video. Either way, stay tuned and watch me transform myself through fasting. And I hope that I can inspire you to do the same. Because